Perched like a secret atop a lonely hill in Johor Bahru, Malaysia, lies an abandoned mansion, a decaying relic of luxury and sorrow. To some, it's just crumbling bricks and overgrown vines. But to others, it's a portal, a gateway to something darker, unspeakable. Welcome, dear watchers, to Dark Files. Tonight, we don't just uncover a ghost story. We step inside one of Asia's most disturbing enigmas, the mysterious, hidden room inside Villa Nabila. A story woven from shadow and silence, a place where reality and nightmare blur. Villa Nabila rose from the earth in the early 1930s, a majestic gift from a powerful tycoon to his beloved daughter, Nabila. The villa symbolized opulence, a monument to a family's wealth and love. Perched beside the shimmering sea, it once echoed with laughter, classical piano, and the soft rustle of silks. But dreams decay, and so did the villa's joy. Within a decade, the family disappeared from society. Rumors began to creep through the town like fog. Servants left in the dead of night. The garden grew wild, as if nature itself was reclaiming the land. By the 1950s, the house stood silent, abandoned, watching. And the whispers began. Whispers of screams piercing the silence, of shadows flitting past windows long thought shuttered, of blood spilled beneath elegance. Villa Nabila doesn't just echo history, it absorbs it. The stories are countless, passed from tongue to tongue in hushed tones. One legend tells of a loyal maid, driven mad with envy, who murdered young Nabila and buried her body in a walled-off room beneath the stairs. Another claims it was the father, distraught from financial ruin, who went on a murderous rampage, killing everyone in the house before sealing himself in a hidden chamber to rot. But none of these tales were ever confirmed, and that's what makes them powerful. There were no police reports, no bodies, just screams reported by passers-by, and the belief that somewhere within the villa lies a concealed room, a room that holds answers and horrors. But legends are often dismissed until the present echoes the past. In 2013, the myth became real. Reports flooded the media. 23 teenagers ventured into Villa Nabila one night and vanished. Police, parents, and locals scrambled. Panic rippled across Malaysia. Over the next few days, most were found wandering the streets, shaken, unable, or unwilling to speak of what they experienced. Their eyes hollow, their words incoherent. One boy, however, was never recovered, gone without a trace. The authorities tried to calm the storm, calling it a case of mass hysteria. But dear watchers, what if what they saw was that hidden room? What if they uncovered something buried, not just beneath bricks, but beneath time itself? One of the Servor Amir told his story, dear watchers, this: I wasn't planning to go that night. It was supposed to be just another weekend. Cheap food, dumb jokes, and ghost stories we'd all pretend to believe. But when Imran dared us to check out Villa Nabila, something inside me said yes, even though every part of me knew I shouldn't. There were 23 of us. Yeah, 23 teenagers. We piled into cars and bikes, drove down the coast, laughing like idiots. The villa was up on a hill, right above Danga Bay. We'd all heard the stories, the murder, the missing girl, the cursed room no one ever found. But it didn't feel real until we saw it. It was huge and dead quiet. Vines were growing over the gates, and the windows looked like dark eyes staring at us. The front gate was unlocked, which didn't make sense. No chains, no signs, nothing. It creaked open like it was waiting. We stepped in. The air changed. It felt thick, cold, like rain was coming, but the sky was clear. The floors creaked under our feet. The walls were covered in mold and peeling wallpaper. There was broken furniture everywhere, like someone had left in a hurry. I remember the chandelier swaying, but there was no wind. We split up. Not smart, I know, but we thought it was a joke. A thrill. Half the group went to the upper floor. I stayed on the ground level with 4 others. We walked through the kitchen, the dining room, and then into this narrow hallway that felt wrong, like it didn't belong. There was this mirror at the end of it, tall, cracked, dusty. Syra, one of the girls with us, stepped in front of it and froze. I called her name, but she didn't answer. Then she whispered, "There's someone behind me." I looked. There was no one there. But in the reflection, there were more faces than people in the room. 6, maybe 7. And one of them didn't blink. That's when the screaming started. Upstairs. We ran back to the main hall, but it was empty. The others were gone. Every doorway led to another hallway. None of them looked familiar. It was like the house had shifted. Then we tried to leave. We ran to the front door, the same one we came through. It was sealed. Not locked. Sealed. Like part of the wall. And then, the lights came on. Not all at once. Just one, flickering, in a room down the corridor. It shouldn't have had power. The place was abandoned for years. We followed it. Because what else could we do? Inside, we found a staircase, not the one we used earlier. This one was hidden behind a broken cabinet. We went down. The air got colder. My breath fogged up. And the deeper we went, the more it felt like we were being watched. There was a room at the bottom, small, square, with no windows. The walls were lined with old portraits, their faces scratched out. In the center of the room was a chair. Nothing else. Then I heard it. Breathing. Not mine. Not from any of us. It was coming from behind the wall. We backed out. One of the guys, Farid, started banging on the door, shouting for the others. And then, the lights went out. All of them. In total silence. What happened next? I still don't understand. I remember voices, whispering. Too many to make out. The walls felt like they were moving. I closed my eyes and told myself to wake up. When I opened them, it was daylight. I was outside on the lawn with 7 others. We were just there. No memory of how we got out. No sign of the others. And no door behind us. The police found us later that morning. We tried to explain, but what could we say? That a house swallowed us? That we saw people in mirrors who didn't exist? Most of us never talked about it again. Syra moved away. Farid stopped speaking altogether. I haven't heard from half of them since. But one kid, Hafiz, was never found. Not in the villa, not anywhere. They said it was mass hysteria, a prank, a runaway. But I know what I saw, what I felt. There's something in that house, something that waits, that feeds on fear, on confusion, on people who don't believe. We weren't supposed to go in, but we did, and some of us never left. The stories all lead here, to the room that was never meant to be found, hidden behind false walls, buried beneath years of plaster and lies. The so-called heart of Villa Nabila is no ordinary room. Some say it was built without blueprints. A private chamber commissioned by Nabila's father, carved into the foundation of the house. No windows, no records, no key. Locals believe it was used as a punishment room, a place where disobedient servants were locked in darkness for days. Others whisper of rituals, blood on the walls, symbols carved into stone, chanting that never echoed beyond the floorboards. But the most persistent legend? That this was where Nabila died. They say a jealous maid lured her here, struck her with a fire poker, buried her beneath the floorboards, and sealed the room behind fresh cement. The maid disappeared weeks later. Some believe she jumped from the top balcony. Others claim she was pulled by Nabila herself. Paranormal investigators reports. EMF spikes go off the charts near a specific hallway on the eastern wing. Thermometers record cold drops of 10 to 15 degrees Celsius within seconds. Battery drains are instant. Cameras die, flashlights flicker out. One explorer claimed to hear a child crying behind a wall, only for it to shift into laughter. Multiple independent teams reported discovering a false wall, slightly hollow to the knock, but completely sealed. One group managed to expose part of it. Behind the drywall, a door, old, wooden, covered in scratches, as if something tried to claw its way out. One account, unverified, anonymous. We heard something breathing, not in the room, inside the wall, like it was pressed right against it. Then the doorknob moved. Just once. Slowly. We ran. Haven't gone back since. Architectural plans of Villa Nabila don't include this space, but that isn't surprising. Much of the house was built by foreign masons. Undocumented labor, custom designs, additions whispered into construction. It's entirely possible this room was never meant to be known. A secret only the family held. Or maybe it wasn't built by man at all. Theories from experts. Psychics describe the room as a spiritual anchor, a place where trauma crystallized and refuses to fade. Folklorists believe it's a death room, a Southeast Asian concept where spirits attach to the place they were wronged. Skeptics argue the room never existed, that it's a shared hallucination born from viral stories and suggestibility. But ask those who've stood in Villa Nabila, and they'll tell you, there is a space in that house that makes your bones hum. A room that watches you, that waits until you're alone. And if the door ever opens again, it won't be to let someone in. It'll be to let something out. Villa Nabila stands still, guarding its secrets, watching. That hidden room, if it exists, may never reveal itself to just anyone. Or perhaps, it waits for the one who truly belongs there. Until then, the mansion breathes. It watches. It remembers. And in the silence, its story stretches onward, forever incomplete. Thank you, dear watchers, for walking with us into the dark. If this tale chilled your spine and stirred your curiosity, don't vanish just yet. Subscribe to Dark Files, hit the like button, comment below your theories, and share this with someone brave enough to enter the unknown.